This is amazing that we don't know what we are going to, I mean, the others are going to talk about. And that
Yeah,
kind of makes it very exciting for us as well.
Yep.
exactly.
So, to all of you who are watching, welcome to the fifth podcast of Nameless Comics Podcast. So, today, as you would have probably read from the title, we are going to be talking about our favorite top five comics in our collection. So, this is not the top five favorite that's there all time out there. This is the top five that's there in our collection right now. This can obviously change with time as our collection grows. And the thing is, neither of us knows what our collection is like, just like how Pranay mentioned right now. So, we're all going to see it for the first time to see what our recommendations are over here. And I don't know about the both of you, but I was just telling Manish a bit before know that I had a very tough time shortlisting because there's just too much to choose from right now in my collection. So I actually have a lot more honorable mentions than the top five itself.
Understandably so.
No, no, I mean, I can understand, but you know what I did to, I was facing the same problem yesterday. What I did was I said, okay, these are the books that I really think are also very valuable and they are kind of keys as well. They are important to me from a story point of view or not just like an emotion point of view, but monetary point of view. So I try to combine that. And then I said, okay, I'll make the top. Actually, I narrowed it down to top six. Then I said,
Uh,
okay, let's stick to top five. And if we have to mention
Interesting.
some honorable mentions,
Yeah.
then of course there are.
Yeah.
What I did is basically I was just starting this, shortlisting the comics, and after a couple of names, I found these are very well-known titles. Almost everyone knows these are some of the comics that are going to be there. So then, after a couple of entries, I made sure I'll put those names which I personally found very engaging and interesting, but those are kind of underdogs. They are not as well
Okay.
known, but they are definitely must read. So that is how I have made my top five list.
So with that said, let's begin our top five. So first we'll start with the fifth one in our comics. Which one of you wants to go
Yeah.
first?
I'll go with this. Okay. So I think with me, if you guys know me, then Batman is bound to feature, right? So I mean that's a given. I'm a huge
Yeah.
Batman fan, and it all started with the book. I first read the trade paperback Batman Year One, and like a
Frank
few
Miller,
Frank Miller and David
basically.
Mazzucchelli. I don't know how to pronounce. I hope it's the correct pronunciation, but yeah. So those were the guys. So Frank Miller wrote the story, and David Mazzucchelli was with the art, and it's beautiful. It's just a four-part series. There are only four single issues, and recently I was able to get my hands on all four of them. So
Mhm.
this is the first one.
So
This is the second. This is the third, and this is the fourth. So I really wanted to have the single issues in my collection, and the reason was because this is what started and made me a fan of Batman. Often, people ask like, "How should I start?" And I always recommend that if you want to know how Batman started, how he became, this is a great book to kind of know Batman's origin, and it also has a good cast. Like Commissioner Gordon plays a very important role in this book, and he's not just a prop. He plays a very major role, almost like a second hero to what Batman is, and the entire Gotham City and what the city was, why there is so much of corruption, what is the status of that city. Everything is mentioned that in such a beautiful way. It was at that time almost path breaking. So for me, like this collection was very dear to my heart. And since I was able to get it, I was like, okay, this definitely needs to be in the top five. It's a personal thing also, but at the same time, I think it's a great key book to have for anybody who loves Batman. This is a great starting point because this is where the Batman changed. Like this book was written in the mid 80s. And before that, in the 70s and 60s, there was a lot of campy Batman going on, funny Batman, jokes. He was not like the Dark Knight. This book made him the Dark Knight, the serious uh, Batman that was initially created.
I consider it to be the Batman Bible. Like if anyone is trying to get into Batman, they should start off with this one in particular. I guess I will let Chandan go.
All right, so I have it here with me. So actually, like I said, I had a lot of tough time picking this one out, but then I was like, this is like one of the oldest books that got me into like, good, I want to collect this. So I have Spider-Man India issue number one, Gotham Comics over here. So this actually has all the four issues in here, but then I was like, because issue four is the oldest book that I have. And the thing is, that was like now full crumpled and everything, but all the pages are intact. So I've put this in this encasing, so I don't want to any of it to get damaged. So you guys know I love Gotham Comics a lot. I've talked about it countless times. So that is one reason why this is very close to me. And also, of course, like Spider-Man in an Indian format, and this the issue one with the retelling of Spider-Man India of how he got his powers, it connecting to a celestial yogi who gave him his powers. That touch I liked a lot, which is something I think they've missed now with the recent Spider-Man India storylines because I was talking with Tadam previously. I actually wrote a story myself for that. I have like a few plot lines so about how all that will happen. So
Damn.
yeah, I mean, if Marvel ever sees this, hopefully they give me the chance. I would like to tell the story. But that being said, that's why I like that issue a lot. And also, I have this collector's edition here, which is signed by Jeevan Kang. So all these factors in make me pick this set number five.
Like
Phenomenal artist, even Tekang.
I knew that Skandan would definitely have at least three Spider-Man books in his top
So
five.
was
And
my
That's
assumption as
actually pretty
well.
accurate.
Knowing him for so long, no, this is like a very basic assumption we can make.
Yeah.
What
yeah,
I loved about
but
Spider-Man
I didn't know
India
which
are
is.
the name games. Like Peter Parker became Pavitr Prabhakar,
Yeah.
Mary
Yeah.
Jane became Meera Jain,
Meera Jain.
Aunt May became Aunt Maya, Uncle
Yeah.
Ben became Uncle
Bhim.
Bhim,
Bhim. Yeah.
and Norman Osborn became Nalin Oberoi.
Oberoi.
I
Yeah.
still remember all the names.
Oh, you
Harry
remember so
Osborn
much.
became Hari Oberoi.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. So
fantastic.
I loved that thing.
Yeah.
Like I
And
remembered
in
the first two. I didn't remember the rest of the cast names, the Indian names. Like amazing memories you guys have.
in my fifth position, I have taken this comics name in number of times, and that is the Injustice year. The first 3 years
Mm.
to be very specific. And the sole reason I do that is because Tom wrote it brilliantly, engaging so many characters and giving justice to almost every one of them, creating this conflict between Batman and Superman so fantastically and creating a cliffhanger in every issue end. That is something very difficult to do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they have done it brilliantly. And after the third year, I think fourth year was also tolerable, but in year five, things went haywire because
Mm.
the writers changed and stuff. So yeah, I hold it in very high esteem. And this is the only one that is, very popular among the top five that I'm going to give because the rest are little underdogs. So yeah,
Okay.
Injustice complete year collection is definitely a must read.
Year one ended with a very good cliffhanger. If all those who read it will know where year one ends. So that was
Yeah,
like pretty intense, but intense in a very good writing sense. And like I said, the next 2 3 years were good. I felt the last year was not good. Whatever they had built up the momentum, it was lost in the final year.
I felt exactly the same about Game of Thrones as well. Such a great, brilliant build up, amazing characters, amazing plot development, and in the last season,
Yeah.
exactly that
True,
is
true.
what has happened with Injustice series as well, is what I believe.
Game of Thrones was a huge disappointment in the last episode. Like I think
Yeah,
the creators wanted to kind of surprise people, but in that whole effort to surprise people, the ending got completely bad.
I
Like
cannot imagine a bigger letdown than what Game of Thrones was.
I feel the
true, true.
same way about Mission Impossible 8. I mean, I was so pumped for it, and I was like, okay, final Mission Impossible movie, and that story was so mid. I was like, my God, I can't do this, man. I'm sorry. I love Tom Cruise, but this is mid.
I'll wait
And it's,
for it to come on,
Yeah.
OTT platform, then I'll catch it. Thankfully, I haven't
same,
seen it.
same,
So,
same. At
What?
number four,
okay, I'll go with number four is Avengers Annual number 10. Now, this is again something which I got recently, I think a couple of 1.5 months ago. This is the first appearance of Rogue, and it has a first cover appearance of Mystique, which was played by my favorite actress Jennifer Lawrence in the X-Men movies.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a special book. Like I fell in love with the character of Rogue when I was a kid. I was watching the 1990s ka X-Men animated series. She was a great character. I mean, like she was somebody who had the power of Superman, who was strong, who was beautiful, and the way she talked in that southern lingo was something which was quite endearing to a teenage kid like me. And I always wanted the first appearance of Rogue, and the book is mind blowing. I mean, I did not expect it to be so good. I knew a bit about the book, but the way the story is woven and how beautifully things pan out. They are introducing a new character of Rogue. You don't know much about it. So it starts off with somebody, Spider Woman, finding Miss Marvel completely comatose and defeated. Okay, then you realize that she has been defeated by Rogue. Later on, there's a fight scene with Captain America where she easily defeats Captain America. And you're like, okay, ठीक है, meta humans है. But that doesn't end. She ends up defeating the god of thunder, Thor. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. I mean, when that action was happening, I was like, Thor will win. But she has so many cards up her sleeve, and her power basically lies in the touch. So whoever she touches, she's able to get that person's power. And that makes her kind of like, you just can't defeat her. And that power usually is for a temporary period. But because she touches Miss Marvel for such a long time, she gets all the power of Miss Marvel permanently. Plus, she has the power of Captain
Oh,
America when she's facing Thor. So, all of those things in the book itself is amazing. So, I would say that, not just because it's a key, it's a favorite character, but the story itself is so much. In just one book, you get so many things happening. And there's also this whole friendship angle happening about how Avengers did not realize that a character, a superhero from them is actually getting forced to go with somebody else. And that gets revealed in this particular book, which was again like we sometimes only see the outer part of our friends' lives, but like we don't realize what the person is going through. And this book kind of touched based on that part. So fantastic book. That's my number four for you guys.
about Chandan.
Mine is another popular Batman issue, Batman 497, Breaking of the Bat. So,
Nightfall.
yes, I'm part of the Nightfall series and like one of the well-written series of Batman, which is quite long, elaborate, and well-written. So, the whole plot line of first of all, we are introduced to Bane. He's he's big. He has a lot of brawn, but he's not just brawn. He's intelligent enough, so he wears Batman down by releasing all the inmates of Arkham, tiring him physically and emotionally. And then finally, in this issue, he goes straight into Wayne Manor and puts up a fight right in his house, showing that I don't care who you are, I want Gotham. And it's not that Batman has, never lost a fight before. I mean, Joker has outwitted him many times. He has taken mental games as well. But to be physically defeated embarrassingly, I think this was the first time that it happened, and it was a very brutal finish to Batman as well. So this, I think, even when this book came out, this put like a very big question mark to what would happen to Bruce Wayne Batman. So considering all that reasons, and this is definitely for me a very very prominent key issue of Batman. I mean, there are other prominent keys, but for me this is pretty prominent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because in this Ben was like घर पे घुस के मारूंगा.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I recently read another story about Bane, which has his origin, and you realize that he has suffered so much as a child of as an orphan of war, and how he has gone through so much, and possibly you needed that to also appreciate the rest of how things pan out in the whole DC universe. Bane is one of the most dangerous guys around, and as you said, he's also very intelligent. And in the movie that we saw, that character was kind of immortalized by Tom Hardy. So
Yeah,
amazing
yeah, yeah.
choice.
Oh, that scene was
So
so cold. He was straight up mocking Batman as he was thrashing him. Actually, something similar happens
manhandling
in
him.
the new Absolute Batman number 9. It's pretty similar, and you just read that one issue, you will get to see how dangerous Bane is.
At number four, I will keep an Indian comic book, and that is Saranath Tantric City of Sorrows. I don't know if you guys have read it or not,
I have
but
not.
it is by far a one shot and a phenomenally well written story. It has various elements of dark magic and stuff like that. Written by Shamik Das Gupta, and it is one of his best works till date, if not the best work. So I highly recommend you guys to go and give it a read. It is available. It's not like it's out of print or out of stock. It has been reprinted recently. There is paperback option, hardcover option. You can buy it online, or you can buy it directly from Shamik Da himself. That way, you can get his signature and some postcards and free stuff. So I
Yeah,
highly recommend it. And this is the only Indian comic book that is there in this top five list.
I agree. I don't have any Indian books, so yes,
This is something that I highly suggest both of you to give it a read as soon as possible and tell me
I will
what you
check
think,
it
because
out.
it was written and published about 10-15 years ago. But if you read it, you will find it better than many of the recent Indian comic books that has been published these days. So that is how far ahead it was. And Tarana Tantrik is a character which was already established in Bengali literature. So it is
Okay,
basically Shamik the spin, comical take, comic book, interpretation,
okay.
and a different story. It's not the ones written earlier in the classic literature. So this is Shamik Das Tarana Tantrik basically. So check it out.
Shamik is a very, very good writer, no doubt about it. I've read The Village, so I know that what you're saying is going to be up there. Let me
Yeah,
check
it's
it out.
better than Village in my personal opinion. So there it is. So at number three, Pranay bhai.
At number three, yes, I've got now. I think I'm moving on to thoda sa serious stuff. Okay, so by serious I mean I'm going to get the big guns. So the
Okay.
first at number three is CGC Tale of the Teen
Mm,
Titans. This
Mm.
is a 9.0, and it's a very, very special book because essentially it has Robin, who is the sidekick of Batman, who becomes Nightwing. And that is a major change in the entire DC verse because Nightwing, the moment he becomes Nightwing, he becomes more serious. He becomes almost at par with the Batman. So from that point of view, I think this is brilliant. There are two more things which are there. There's George Perez's beautiful art where he introduces a new character called Jericho, and he's also like an up there major op guy. And then there is Death Stroke, jiska origin is also there in this one. So like Deathstroke is supposed to
oh,
be the bab of uh, you know uh, of all the assassins. He's like
Mm.
really badass. He can take down Superman. He can take down Batman. He's a dangerous character. So, and uska origin is really great to see. You know what happens. It's very similar thoda sa to Wolverine ka origin also. I don't want to reveal much, but from that point of view, this is a very amazing book. It's like an book where there's beautiful art, the story is good, and there are three key things happening in this one. So that makes it like a great book. And I wanted to have this book, and I was like lucky to get it in a CGC format at a lesser price. So I was like, hey, nine is still with white pages is still a very good thing to get. Thoda sa or dal ke, I will, own this book. So that's my number three.
and what about Kandan? What is his number three?
I have two issues that took up the third spot actually because they're like interesting reads, interesting covers, so and very fun overall. The fun factor is very good in both of these. So first one you both would probably recognize it is ASM number 300. This is not the original.
Todd
This is the
McFarlane.
facsimile. Yes, Todd McFarlane. This is not the original. This is the facsimile. I would go bankrupt if I try to buy the original right now. But yeah, this has the the full origin story of Venom and Eddie Brock, so it's very fun. And of course, Todd McFarlane's artwork is the unique standing point in all of this. So in that way, this book I have like reread thousands of times because Venom is like my favorite Spider-Man villain of all time. So that's why this is a fun read. And the other book that took up the spot is Amazing Spider-Man number 362. You would think the 361 I would take because that was like the first appearance of Carnage, but I like this because Venom is also there in this. So like what's better than one
Hmm.
symbiote is two symbiotes. So And also the thing is in this, Venom comes back like after 1 year. We had seen him in issue 347. So it was like 1 year later, Venom finally comes back into the story. And this cover itself is pretty fun. Mark Bagley artwork is
Well,
there in this. So with all that considered, this is another issue that I would put it up in number three, and I would definitely recommend, even for beginners, like who just want to read some fun Spider-Man story, you can take 361, 2, and 3. That's pretty good read.
completely agree, completely agree. I mean, this is a great book. I have this book as well. This is the second appearance of Carnage. It's like one of the key books that you can actually own in the entire Spider-Man
Yeah,
universe. The best part about the book is that, you, as you mentioned, there are three people fighting in that. There's Spider-Man versus Venom, there is Venom versus Carnage, there's Spider-Man versus Carnage. So a lot of
yeah.
action-packed comic. So it's a great, great book.
I got this from
Absolutely.
Pranay by only actually. This is issue
I know.
363.
Okay.
Yes.
Secret
There's this
revealed.
branding on that book which
Yeah.
is there. Like, so yes.
I see.
This was definitely like I was like, okay,
Great.
I'm going to get this. There's no way I'm going to get early access to this in India, sitting so ahead in my collecting journey. I was like, okay, chalo, ja, abhi le
It
hi
was a
lete
good
hain.
This
decision.
is not a part of the Lethal Protector series, is it?
No, no,
No,
no. This is different.
Lee,
This is before Lethal Protector.
yeah, Lethal
This
Protector
is
was
like
like in
the
1990s. This was somewhere in like I think, no, definitely before that.
this would Lethal Protector, I think, is 1993. This would be
Yeah,
around 1990, 91. I'm not sure
yeah,
the year, but this much before Lethal
yeah,
Protector.
yeah.
Lethal Protector also is a great
Book. I have that
book.
coming in next week.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay. We'll be looking forward to the videos.
I
The
will see.
review video, I'm sure will be there.
Yeah, that I will do once I get all the other two issues because it's a six-part series. I'm getting the other two
Yeah.
as well, but it will take some time for those two to come in. So once that comes, I'll do a full review.
Yes, number three. So, just like Pranay Bhai's favorite is Spider-Man from Marvel, mine is Batman from DC. But
Mine is also
sorry,
Batman.
Skandan's, my bad. Skandan's favorite is Spider-Man. Pranay Bhai's is Batman, mine is Batman as well. But this one is not directly related to Batman. This is not even directly related to Joker. So the name is Harleen by Stephen
Oh,
Sajik. I don't know if you guys have read it, but you should definitely check it out. The reason being, Stephen Sajik has been known to be a phenomenal artist if you have seen his artwork.
yes.
But here he has done the scripting as well.
Okay.
And this is basically an origin story of Harleen, a reimagination, the
Hmm.
entire chemistry, her journey, and there are so many subtle plot points that he reveals through the artwork, not the narration, mind it. Like I can still remember there is a scene where we can see Dr. Harleen Quinzel walking, but the shadow that she has formed by the lighting is of
Ah,
Harley Quinn.
Mhm.
nice. Yeah.
So he has masterfully executed the this plot, and I was awestruck by the end of it. It is in hardcover format in giant magazine size. So a lovely, lovely book that I recommend to anyone and everyone who loves reading DC comics and you know a journey basically, a character development, a
Mhm.
simple nerdy girl turning into a maniac. So it's quite a nice journey to watch. That's my number three.
Harley is a fantastic character. I mean, like she's one of those new modern age character which actually came into being on the Batman animated show, which was created by Bruce
Right.
Timm and beautifully illustrated. So she's not a comic book character; she's actually a animation character. Then she came onto the comics, and because she's so fun, she's so unpredictable, and she has a heart as well, so that kind of makes her a character that you root for. Even in the movies, Margot Robbie has done a beautiful job of the whole thing, right? Where you root for Harley's character despite her
Mhm.
being the bad guy.
Yeah.
So Harley is definitely something which I would like to read more about for sure. I'll check this book out.
Yeah, sure. Because I was never that intrigued by this character. Yes, Margot Robbie did create some interest, but after reading Harleen, my outlook towards this character has changed completely. So, highly recommended from Neo Comics. Pranay bhai,
But
the
you,
second
yes.
one.
Now this is connected to what uh, Skandan was talking about. like the second appearance of Carnage. Now I've got the book,
Okay,
which is
okay.
the first appearance of Carnage, and it's in a CGC format. It's a 9.2 CGC,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been in love with this entire series. Like, just, as SK was saying, it's not just about one character, it's about three characters, and there are three huge characters. Like, Spider-Man has always been this uh, superhero who's not entirely invincible. He's vulnerable, and he can
Yep.
get beaten. Like, Venom is able to overpower Spider-Man quite a bit. Now he has to face off against Carnage, who's possibly even more powerful than Venom. And how does he go about it? What happens? All of those things are something which are points of intrigue. And it's the
Mm.
first appearance. So, from a key book point of view, yes, it's right up there. So, I have put it at number two.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, the
What
Mark
about
Bagley's artwork itself is just a big standout for that whole
I
series
agree.
because
yeah,
I don't always, I mostly read the book for Spider-Man costume, but it's very few times like for Todd McFarlane or for for Mark Bagley that because I like the way they draw with regular people as well. The way he's done Peter Parker and Mary Jane in this, I was like, this is beautiful.
True, true.
yeah, they redefined the structure of Spider-Man
Yeah,
from the 1990s to the early 2000s.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
So,
what's Kandan's
SK.
number two?
Okay, it's a bit big. So it's, and again, this also has two different stories in it. So it's like two series, but then that had to go come in this spot and they're coming together. So first one is Amar Chitra Katha's Valmiki Ramayana. As you can
Sorry,
see, the whole set here.
Oh,
So I have collected this
all
over
the
the years.
Kandas.
Yeah, all the kandas are here. They never did the final Uttarakandam, I think. It was just written as an epilogue, but they had
Mm-hmm.
divided our Ayodhya Kandam into two parts. So that's why you have seven books
nice.
here.
There is a slipcase box set available, no?
There is, but I had bought this before they made the box case because I was like collecting them individually as and when it came out. So this is one, and the other one is a bit heavy, but again another Amar Chitra Katha book, which is the Mahabharat.
Mahabharata.
Yeah,
Nice, beautiful.
yeah. So these two
It
books are
looks amazing.
It is because these
Based.
books are like my go-to. Like when I was in school, every time there is an exam, like पढ़ाई करना है तो mobile नहीं देखना है, TV नहीं देखना है. So for breaks, I used to take this book and reread them more than my syllabus books because this used to be my relaxation time. And summer vacation means these two books are ones that I have reread so many times because this is very detailed story, but with pictures it is also fun for a kid. And the best thing is they have, because of the pictures, they've not compromised anywhere in the storytelling. They have detailed every event, especially in these books, because if you go for single issue copies you have to omit a lot of things, right? But this is like an entire big series, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
everything is written in it. So that's why these two are to come. So these two I hold very close to my heart.
Right.
brilliant, brilliant.
Right.
I mean, like we were saying, okay, एक ही book है Indian, नहीं और एक book भी है, and on
Mm-hmm.
number two,
वो
and that's
वो भी
like
बहुत
a
अच्छा
huge
लगा.
Yeah.
epic, iconic Mahabharat. Like Mahabharat
Yeah.
was my favorite story mythology, and my grandmother used to read it to me when I was a child. And I used to love the stories, and I would always tell her कि war वाला जो part है, tell me that. That used to always interest me as a kid.
Yeah.
And like I did not collect this Amar Chitra Katha Mahabharata somehow. But now that I see that whole hardcover thing, it
Yeah.
looks amazing to have.
It's still
Yeah.
available. They print it
Even
every now and
I
Ah,
then.
I'm
wish I
sure
has it now.
I may get it at a
I
later
have
stage.
I have the Ramayana slipcase, but this Mahabharata is missing from my collection, so it has to be there sometime in the
Yes,
future.
I fought big time to get this because obviously it was expensive. So I was like in my
yeah,
10th grade then. I had bought the Mahabharata and Balkandam first back then together. And then after that, with time I got the remaining six condoms.
So at number two, I'll be keeping a Marvel comic, and that is Old Man Logan.
Mm.
I loved it for various reasons. The connection between the older version of Wolverine and Hawkeye,
Mm.
Wolverine's epic fight with Hulk, and just abolishing the entire Hulk community all by himself because of reasons I will not disclose it. for those of us who hasn't read it will be a spoiler. I
Yeah,
love the artwork, the execution. I'm talking about the OG Old Man Logan, not the follow-up. The
yeah,
follow-up
yeah.
has went on for many volumes, and that's not half as good as the original
Original,
one.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, one of the must-buy Marvel comics is Old Man Logan.
Absolutely.
I have the
I've
trade
read that
paperback
book.
actually of the
Then
original Old Man Logan.
yeah, that is basically what I have in number two. And with that being said, we come to the top one, the first. And let's move forward with Pranay bhai. What's your number one?
So the first one is uh, for no awards and no prizes for guessing. It's a Batman book. It's by the legend Todd McFarlane. It's a book which I always showcase in most of my videos, which you can see in the
Yeah.
background, which is Batman number
Yeah.
423. I absolutely phenomenally love the cover and how the cape comes out, how he's holding the girl, the colors used, the red and the yellow. It's just everything kind of works out to it being the best cover ever. And it's Todd McFarlane's probably the finest work, which inspired a lot of his Spawn work and how Spawn had his cape drawn, which is right from here. One thing which Todd McFarlane pointed out in his interviews was there was an error in this comic. So there was a deadline to be met, and Todd was working at his fastest. He couldn't cover and do inking for the entire part of the cave, and there was a colors which was missed out. So if you look very closely, there will be this white spot in the middle of yellow, which you can't see here, but I'm sure like when we show the book to you guys, you'll be able to see small white portion is there and it's not painted yellow. That's a great book for me. I've kept it at number one because for me it was a very special book. I had gotten it some time ago and I really wanted that book. So like after getting it in a CGC format, it kind of made me very happy. It's an emotional book to own a CGC Todd McFarlane work, but to own a Batman 423 was always like a big thing for me. So, considering all of those things, like I've kept it at numero uno.
So yeah, even I love the cover so much. I wish I own the statue someday. There was
Mhm.
one figure of this same exact posture. I
Yeah.
love the cape design. Basically, it has never been redone. It looks amazing. There is an eerie vibe to it, but then again, there is some solace because he's holding very protectively, holding the lady. So
Yeah.
I, for some reason, love this one.
Yeah.
Chandan's number one. Is it a Spider-Man comic?
It is. It is
Let's
much
find
like
out.
how Pranay's favorite is on the top, so is mine. It should come to no surprise that my number one is the Amazing Fantasy number
Ah,
15. This is again a facsimile. I would go bankrupt for two different Janmas if I try to buy the original one right now.
so
But
all three combined will might get
Exactly.
bankrupt.
actually,
Exactly.
no, but this is like like a proper reprinting in 1992 to mark the 30th anniversary. So I was like, okay, that's good enough for me. So yeah, this started, the origin story of Spider-Man, and
Paddy.
yeah, I mean, there are other, good retellings of the original story or different good variants, but the thing that makes this thing the best is one is obviously Stanley wrote it with, Steve Ditko's artwork and even Jack Kirby's cover page, but it's fairly simple, and I miss that style of, comic book storytelling because this was like in early 1960s. So there's that simple storytelling of a superhero, which is a bit comical, and you can also say like a bit cheesy here and there with the way people talk, with the way the artwork is done. But it also gives that bit of childhood nostalgia while also giving the josh for a superhero lover that, okay, this is like the superhero origin story. So all that factoring in, this definitely will be my all-time number one book.
Absolutely. Plus, there is so much backstory behind these comics that we are holding. For example, the Spider-Man one, when Stanley originally preached the idea, he was looked down upon very
Yeah,
badly. Like,
yeah,
this is not going to work. Somehow the sales spoke otherwise and things took a different turn.
yeah.
Again, the Spider-Man India, which you were showing earlier, just to imagine that Stanley sat with Satyajit Ray and
Mm.
they had talked about this idea. and that has manifested into this is just mind blowing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Spider-Man already has a very special place in all of our hearts, and this backstories make it all the more special.
yeah. I mean, he became the
Correct, correct.
face of Marvel and potentially the face of superheroes as well, just like how Batman is. Those two are like always at number one of fighting for the number one title of which is the best superhero in the world.
So
True.
I remember this from a Stanley interview where he says that when I pitched the idea of a teenage boy
Mm,
being a superhero, the editors and the powers to be, they kind of rejected it.
yeah,
But I went along with it. I
Yes,
said, no, this is going to work. And that amazing fantasy outsold their dreams.
yeah,
And they didn't realize that, it would sell so much and it'd be such a big hit. Lot of letters came in saying that it was such a cool character because I think the kids were identifying with a person who was so vulnerable. They didn't want
yeah,
to see somebody who was invincible, who bullets could
true.
not harm,
yeah,
and he was somebody who was like he had school issues. He was awkward talking to girls, kind of a dork. So a lot of those small things also helped make that character extremely endearing.
Relatable.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The biggest thing that was
True.
selling about Spider-Man was the relatability factor. You know, he also cared about his Aunt
Exactly.
May, the financial problems, and then of course the peer pressure that he's always in. But then the sense of morality because of what has happened, what he's experienced firsthand. That's always driving him, kind of like Batman's original story. What's always driving him at his core.
True, true, absolutely.
Right. My
Yes,
number one
the
is left,
mind.
and let's play a guessing game. So I would like for you to guess, and I'll keep on dropping a hint about which title or which character it is.
Yeah, I
So
would
any
go
wild
with.
guesses, Pranay bhai?
I would say this is an Indian comic. No, you said there's
No,
already only one Indian comic, so I take that back. I would say this is the Dark Knight, Batman.
no.
SK, your turn.
So that's a wrong guess. I will now drop a hint. It is not from DC. So now it's SK's turn. SK,
Yeah.
Something from Image Comics, maybe like Invincible or something like that.
so you just take a name and then I'll drop a hint. That's how we'll play it.
Invincible.
No, it is a Marvel comic. Now it's Pranay bhai's turn.
Now this is getting. Uh, is it uh Incredible Hulk?
No, Kandan's turn. It is not a hero. He is not a hero.
Villain?
Okay.
Yeah,
A villain. Okay. God. Since we just spoke about Venom,
it's
Little
a
Protector,
very
I can ask about that.
I think I got this. I think. But let
I'll let
Steven
Kandan go.
say something, and then if he doesn't get it, and you have to give one more hint, then I'll be more sure about it.
I'll go with Venom, Lethal Protector, number one.
No, no more hint. I will let Pranay bhai take over again.
Okay. So this is the final thing. If this is not it, then you have to tell us the answer. I go with Doctor
Sure,
Doom.
sure. No. And with that, the answer is none other than the Mad Titan, and
Oh,
that is
Thanos.
Thanos. Yes. So this is one I came across about 5 years ago. I randomly purchased this because there was a good discount offer going on. I had no clue what I'm gonna find inside, and what I found was Thanos Rising by Jason Aaron, and
Okay.
it has just 5 issues. No one talks about it as much. No one discusses about it. No one, highlights it. I don't know why, but in those only 5 issues, we get to see the complete journey. And I love this journey kind of metamorphosis where you get to see of a character. He was a child. The things that happened to him. No one is born a supervillain. Let's be honest. So
Correct.
what made Thanos a Mad Titan? The events in his life, the traumatic, circumstance that was happening to him, his chemistry with Mistress Death.
mm,
It blew my mind. I was not expecting anything, and then I read Thanos Rising, and I was like, hands down, this is something that I'm gonna recommend to everyone who is a little bit into Marvel and wants to know something, some underdog titles. So Thanos Rising, and the artwork is by Bianchi. I don't know if I'm spelling it right. You should definitely check it out. Phenomenal artwork, phenomenal storytelling. 5 issue, it's one and done kind of story. You are going to love it, 100% sure. So that's my number one, and this is why I was saying, as making the list of some titles which many people are not talking about, but they should be.
Hmm.
Right. I think basically between the three of us, we've covered like some popular titles, some underdog titles, some extremely
Yeah.
interesting titles. So it's like a good mash of top five that we've got. And there's the
Yeah.
beauty of it, like our passions are interconnected, and at the same time they're so diverse. So you get to see like a variety
Yeah.
of things, and then like for me, there were like two, three things which I now have to look forward to, or I would like actually read up upon it before buying, those titles. Same thing, I'm sure for you guys also. Okay, yeah, this is something
Yes.
new that I've heard. It's worth exploring. I think that's the whole beauty of our whole comic collection
Oh,
passion.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our viewers can make a wise decision now about if they want to
Yeah.
read something, if something connects with their interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That said, I also want to ask both of you guys, what were your, if you had any honorable mentions that would have made the list, had it been a long, bigger number, what would they be? I'll tell mine in the last.
Yeah, way too many. There are so many Batman titles. I loved Hush. I loved Dark Knight
Mm.
Returns. I loved the Court of Owls series by Scott Snyder.
Okay.
I am loving the Dark Knights of Steel. I don't know if you guys have read it. It has recently been concluded in a two-volume part.
Hmm.
So there are so many. Like if I sit and think about it, I'll just keep on, reminding myself a couple of titles every other minute or so. So I am not going to the honorable mentions too deeply right now. What about you, Sandan?
Mine, okay. So a lot of issue ones here. So issue one of, Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, the new Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Wolverine, Berserker, and the last two is like Spider-Man and Batman Disordered Minds, and the Spider-Man 2 movie comic book. Official adaptation.
Yes,
Mm,
yes.
So that book
yes,
definitely.
it was published by Gotham also, I guess.
It was published by Gotham as well. And besides this, I would say the King in Black series and Absolute Carnage. Amazing series, both of them.
For me, also, I won't go into a lot of because there are lots and lots of it. Like there is Scott Snyder's Black Mirror, which is a
Mm.
Batman story where actually there is no
Uh,
Batman, but you have Nightwing who's portraying
Doing Don the
Batman.
Mantle of Batman.
So I mean that whole book is a storyteller's delight. And I think Jock is the artist. He does such an unusual job on that entire art perspective, the colors and the stylization. So that I
Very edgy, I
would,
must say. It looks
yeah.
rough.
Yes, but it's edgy. I think the word possibly to use is edgy. It's very different. So I love that
Exactly.
a lot. It kind of like pushed me into reading more of the current Batman titles that were going on during that time. So once I finished reading the Black Mirror, I got into Scott Snyder's Coat of Owl, and I started collecting those books in paperbacks, which you see like behind. So I have the
Mm-hmm.
entire seven volumes of the Coat of Owl and the subsequent volumes. They were great, which I loved. And I would say then there is this book called Black Sard. It's written by a Spanish duo.
Cat.
It's
A
a
cat,
cat.
I guess.
Yes. So it's a anthropomology or something like that. But
Anthropomorphic,
when you
anthropomorphic
yeah,
representation.
anthropomorphic, where you have animals playing the roles of but the art and the story is so beautiful. The story is said in a very noir fashion, and the art is something which
Mm-hmm.
is like up there. So for the longest period of time, the Spanish artist was one of my favorite artists of all time. I had fallen in love, so I got the whole thick Black Sard paperback, and at that time it was a very very expensive buy for me. But I loved each and
Is
every
it available
panel.
anywhere right now in
I
a
had
reasonable price? I've been looking for it,
uh,
but I'm not getting it anywhere.
I had bought it from, if I'm not mistaken, during those times, Flipkart used to sell a lot of books. So I had gotten it from
Mm-hmm.
Flipkart in the early days of Flipkart, which I think 2008,
Ah,
9, 10, 2010 types. I don't remember
Okay.
exactly, but I love that book and I love the story and everything. And the other honorable mention would be Usagi by Stan Sakai. I own only one omnibus of Usagi, but I have read the entire series on my Kindle. This was in that Kindle wala stage where I said I will stop buying books because jaga nahi hai, and I will read more. So I loved that whole Usagi journey. Then I came back to buying actual books again. But Usagi, I think if you guys have not read, then it's
Yeah, Yojimbo, something like that. It's that
Usagi Yojimbo.
rabbit
Yes, that's correct. Correct. It's a rabbit again. That same
manga, manga
whatever you call it.
anthropomorphic
Like, yes,
representation.
yes, yes. Where animals are like men, but this art is brilliant. It's very simple. It's very subtle. The story is awesome. It's written by Stan Sakai, who was from Hawaii, and he has a lot of Japanese origin. So he does a lot of tie-ups with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And there's Usagi
Hmm.
Ojimbo and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series also, which came recently. So
Yeah,
off the cuff, I think these three, four books are which I think are like good honorable mentions, very different stuff that would have made it maybe at 5, 4. You never know.
Mm. With that said, I think our viewers would have got a pretty good collection right now to refer to and see what they want to read. And obviously, they can then
absolutely.
we if they drop in the comments what comics they like from our recommendations or what they would recommend, that also we would be more than happy to get back in and see. But yeah, that like this, I hope you guys like this video. You can hit the like button, you can share it with your friends, and you can stay tuned to all of our channels because we've got some amazing recommendations like this. And we'll see. Our next podcast is next week. There is a surprise. We'll not tell that right now, so they can stay tuned for that, and it will also be coming out pretty soon.